WWE ruins everything. Hey guys, welcome to the 716 Sports Entertainment Podcast. For today, we are going to talk about SmackDown, which happened last night. And as you can tell by the opening, that we got a lot to talk about today. Welcome to the 716 Sports Entertainment Podcast, episode 18 of the wrestling podcast over here. And we're here to break down SmackDown, as I mentioned. Thank you for joining us. As always, I'm Mike with the 716 Sports Entertainment, joined by Mr. T. Reese and Mr. Sean O'Neill. And guys, SmackDown. Let's talk about that. Yeah. So I kind of wanted to get right into it because there's like a lot of things I wanted to talk about with this show, and the reason for like the header, I guess, for WWE ruining everything. So Solo Sikoa came down to the ring, and one of the first of many things that kind of pissed me off with this show. Solo came down to the ring with Jacob Fatu, and his obviously re-won United States title that he won at Backlash last weekend, or retained at Backlash this weekend. And we decided the first travesty of the night was renaming Jeff Cobb to Sean. What was it again? Just
JC Mateo. Don't even get me started.
Thank you.
In the least.
JC Mateo. So we'll just quickly go through the segment. Solo called his shot for the Money in the Bank qualifier match that was going to be later tonight. And there was obviously some tension between Solo and Jacob Fatu, which is clearly going to lead to a babyface turn for Jacob at some point, and a match between the two of them as they kind of drift further and further apart. We did have LA Knight kind of do a hit and run on JC Mateo, which led to a match between them later on in the night, which we'll get into in a minute. But this was the first of many travesties of the evening. So, guys, I wanted to get your feedback on WWE's weird obsession with renaming people who are well established, have great names and great characters, and they do stupid stuff like this.
I can tell you why. It's because they want to own the trademark rights to their name. It's all a business decision. And as dumb as it sounds, turning Jeff Cobb, who is established as Jeff Cobb, into JC Mateo, which is probably like the dumbest sounding name in the world. Sounds like he belongs in a law firm. I don't know. Just let them own their name. I mean, I understand WWE needs it for merchandising rights, but do they make that much money off of their name? That part, I guess I don't know the business side of things well enough to be able to make a judgment on that. But I'd say almost 100% that's probably why they're so obsessed with renaming people.
Well, I mean, you played WWE, right?
Yeah.
2K, yeah.
Why.
Right behind me, yeah.
That's mostly why, because they can own the rights for the game forever, your name. So it's strictly for the game. It's not even for merch, it's for the video games. That's where they're aiming it for. So now, no matter if you're there or not, they can use your name whenever they want to.
Which is why they have trouble with some of these old stars, right? The ones who actually owned their name, why you don't always see them in-game.
Well, absolutely, because they own all the rights to them. And because of that, WWE thinks two steps ahead and say, well, we can own your name going forward. We don't need you present in the company in order to use it.
And your smart people like your Chris Jericho's in that make sure that they have their name copywritten.
Yeah, I don't love any of it. I think it's dumb, and I really wish that they would stop doing it. Let's just use the damn names that these guys come in with. This dude's over 40 years old at this point. Like, how long is he really going to be in the company? I mean, you know what I mean? What are we going to get, 2 or 3 years out of this guy? Like, tops?
Yep.
It also seems like it's real hit and miss too, because like you have like your Julias and your Stephanie Vickers who are allowed to keep their names. Your Jordan Grace allowed to keep their names when they come in. Why wasn't Jeff Cobb allowed to keep his name?
Yeah, presumably a bigger sign than all of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it either. I mean, don't forget now. I mean, there's only a few wrestlers right now that have their actual names and their. Pretty much for the most part, I think in their contracts they may sign just to release the rights because, like the Drew McIntyres, the Usos, all their names they've been synonymous with WWE. They probably already own their naming rights. They just haven't bothered. But anybody new coming in, they're just going to keep moving names around. It's part for the course for them.
I don't think Drew McIntyre's real name is McIntyre, though, is it?
No. It's Galloway.
Yeah, it's Drew Galloway.
But he's been riding with McIntyre for almost
for a long time. But
other than when he's wrestling outside of WWE, I think he actually went by his real name at TNA, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess my point is, I guess, just to, a guy who's over 40, who's very much in the twilight of his career at this point. Like, it's one thing to change the name of a brand new person coming in to help try and get them over. I mean, I much prefer Seth Rollins over Colby, whatever his, last name is, right? Like, having a guy come out with the ring name Colby is probably not going to work very well. So I get that. And I get instances where like things like that, and you do it at the beginning of the person's career. That is absolutely okay. But, I know I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but getting back to the overall, go ahead.
Let it rip, Mike. Let it rip. Get your moment.
No, that's all I really got. But I think the thing I want to take away from this segment overall is that we're very clearly going to be getting a face turn out of Jacob Fatu at some point. The crowd really wants that. They were so into him, and he was definitely the biggest star out of the three of them, coming out to the ring like that.
I mean, he already has his tagline of all brakes, no gas. So,
but also, I mean, I don't think it's going to be a face. I think he's going to be more of an anti-face type guy who just kind of a lone wolf deal. Is probably what's going to happen with him. He's not going to be a baby face. I mean, to the crowd, it doesn't matter anymore because everybody cheers for everybody. But he's going to be more of like that sort of bad and good guy, kind of like Randy Orton. You're going to have his moments where you see the face, and maybe moments where he's a heel. It's coming.
Yeah, I was going to say, kind of like Roman Reigns, right?
Yep.
The problem is that WWE has made it to the point where you can cheer for whoever the hell you want. It doesn't matter. There's no real establishment between good or bad guys and who you should and shouldn't be cheering.
Yep. I agree.
Exactly. So after this segment was complete, we went into a backstage segment between initially it was Michin and B-Fab, just kind of going on about getting gold around their waist, which immediately led to Chelsea and her group coming over and getting involved, and then Alexa, who initially at the start of this I was kind of like, why are they not letting Alexa like speak like ever? Because she really didn't have anything to say sort of initially when they were doing this sort of like threesome to kind of like build up their match that was coming up. But it kind of almost immediately led to the three of them going out to have their qualifier match. So it was Chelsea, Alexa, and Michin for their women's qualifying match for Money in the Bank. And this was great. Went through a couple of commercial breaks, and Alexa winning is the right choice. I love the way she does this, Sister Abigail. I think it's excellent. I mean, obviously with her tribute to Bray and everything, but she looks like $1 million, and she's obviously the biggest star there. And I think getting her into that match is important.
Well, I also did like the fact that Michin got moments in this, and she looked good in the ring. She looked really, really good in the ring. So I'm wondering if maybe they're going to try and do a little team up with her and Alexa Bliss at some point, because they were also making them kind of friendly in that match too with each other. So I wouldn't be mad at that. Have someone hanging around there. Again, we don't know what the angle is with Alexa Bliss still right now. I mean, there's still rumors about her hanging with the Wyatt still. So we'll see.
Yeah. And that stuff going on with Charlotte too.
Yeah.
Yep.
At some point, WWE needs to reward Michin though, because she frequently puts on pretty good matches, and she at least deserves a run with the lower card title. Just like I said, you can rely on her to put on good matches, to put people over. And I mean, I picked Chelsea to win the Money at the Bank, so I think she still finds her way into that match, even if like a last ditch qualifier type match. But Alexa winning this one was 100% the right choice. And I think before even anybody else is announced in the match, she's probably one of your odds-on favorites to win.
Yeah, and I don't know if I agree with that her needs to be rewarded with anything. I mean, she's a mid-card to a lower card person. I mean, not everybody deserves a run. I mean, you need people like her in your organization to kind of boost other wrestlers up. So I don't think she's ever going to be a person that's popular as an Alexa Bliss or
no.
a Charlotte or anything like that, but she's a good person to have as, kind of like a support character for other wrestlers that you're trying to bring up.
Is Zelina Vega that much more popular than her though?
No, I didn't think she deserved one either.
That's my point, though, is you have this, the reason why you created this other lower tier title was so that some of these women who are never going to win the big title have a shot to carry gold at some point.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I mean, but again, I hate to use that reward thing. There's certain characters that deserve a reward, like a Drew McIntyre, but I just hate to use it for everybody shouldn't have a run. And
dude, they rewarded Zack Ryder with a title run.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of with not to like completely dog your idea, Sean, but I think I'm with Reese here. I think Michin is kind of a perennial mid-carder person who's there just to kind of like take pins and like, she's a good wrestler. I give her props for being a good wrestler, but I don't see her ever getting out of the mid-card.
No.
Like I said, that's why you give her the mid-card title. You don't ever see her get above that.
Well, and then I think it also kind of negates the point that we made last week, though, right? Where we're trying to elevate those belts right now, and I don't think putting those belts onto somebody like Michin elevates those belts right now at all. I think if anything, it pushes those belts much further down. Maybe in like a year from now, after somebody like Becky and or Alexa or Charlotte or anybody like. Honestly, that's probably where they're going to go with that other belt, right? Eventually, it's going to probably go to Charlotte at some point because, like, it'll help elevate that belt a lot if somebody like Charlotte carries that women's U.S. title for a little while.
You're not always going to see that belt, though, on a big name person. At some point, lesser people are going to carry it.
Oh, I mean, you're absolutely right, but like for right now, both of those, but well, no, the IC belt is only been on one person so far, and the women's U.S. title has only been on two people so far. You know what I mean? So both of those belts, Lyra's probably the biggest star of the three, but like the U.S. title is in desperate need of a big name person holding it right now.
And I agree with that. I'm not saying she needs to win it soon. If she survives the next round of future endeavors at some point down the road, then you reward her if she's still with the company.
Yeah, but let me ask you this. Do you really respect Vega being a champion? I mean, do you think about her? Do you think about who she's going to wrestle next?
I personally think Vega. I personally like Zelina Vega. I'm glad that they did reward her for her ring work.
I'm not saying whether you like her or not, but do you?
She's there as a stepping stone to whoever the big name person who's going to hold the belt is. They wanted to get it off Chelsea Green for a reason, so she's the stepping stone to whoever the big name person is, be it Charlotte or Alexa.
She only got it because they had no other options right now.
They could have put anybody else in the feud with Chelsea Green.
Who?
I'm sure they could have found any of these women. They could have jump started it and rushed one of the bigger name women into it.
Name one.
Alexa, Chelsea, not Chelsea. Alexa,
they're not going to put a belt on. She's been gone for months. Chelsea Green already had a belt.
They put a belt on Becky her first night back.
That's Becky Lynch.
And Alexa Bliss is almost as big of a star. Alexa Bliss is almost as big of a star as Becky Lynch.
You can't compare the two. That's off
bullshit.
Terrible.
Bullshit. All right. So let's keep on this Alexa train for a second, because I kind of wanted to go back to my overall premise for this show and this show sucking and like really just kind of pissing me off a lot. So getting back to Alexa, we had a little bit later in the show, we had Alexa backstage and she was being interviewed by Byron. And then she kind of saw Charlotte waiting outside of Nick Aldis's office. And she went over to kind of like be like, oh, you had my back a while ago. Can we, be friends or whatever? And it was kind of like, leading to something between the two of them. But then Julia comes out of Nick Aldis's office, and she's apparently the newest member of the SmackDown roster, who was just involved in a feud with the champion and the biggest star over on Raw. What are we doing? Are we burying her too? Like,
see, I agree with you on this one.
Like, I please enlighten me as to how this is not a burial of Julia. Like,
because it hasn't started yet. So
it's not even over with yet. They were teasing a thing with her and Roxanne. Are we just not gonna do that now? Like, at all? So, are we not gonna do a singles match with her and Rhea or her and Io or anything over to like what they were doing? They're just gonna have that match that they lost and that's it. This is and we never got any payoff. That's like we never found out why they did any of that.
That's the
So
part I
it's
agree
just
with. I think is dumb.
it's
I
the
think the
whole
fact
thing
that
is dumb. The whole
I
thing
think the
is
fact that
dumb.
we didn't get a payoff is dumb. But I wasn't here for your last show, so I couldn't agree with that part. However, you I don't. You guys have been talking about a draft for a while now. I don't think we're going to see a draft for at least until the fall. This allows them to move these women around before that. Gives you that fresh injection of women on SmackDown, which you haven't seen. So until we see what kind of things storylines are going to put her in, I don't want to look at this as a burial yet. But what if they immediately throw into a feud with Charlotte? It's a burial, 100%.
She is
100%.
going into a feud with Charlotte.
I don't think she's going to.
She is going into a match with Charlotte and BFAB next week to be a Money in the Bank qualifier.
That's not going to be that's not a feud with Charlotte, though.
You mean to tell me that Charlotte is not going to pin her?
No. Charlotte's not going to win that match. Julia's winning that
Get
match.
out of here. Get out of here.
I will bet you something that Julia's winning that match.
Parents, talk some sense into this guy, please. Like, I can't. I can't.
Well,
I think the pink hair dye is getting to his brain.
I can't argue the point that Julia is could win that match. It would make sense if you're trying to boost her. But if she loses that match, you're absolutely burying her.
Right. You're
but
right.
My problem is that we've been asking what's the whole deal with Roxanne Perez and Julia? Why are they jumping people? We got no answers out of that. Now you're splitting them up out of nowhere on two different brands and no explanation about that. So they're just like, I still thought that they brought them up too soon because they had no plans for them. And I think that they're just kind of cramming people up there right now. And we're in this kind of purgatory right now with WWE. They're just wandering.
Here's the problem.
And you're going to wait till after Saturday Night Main Event, and then maybe you'll see a clearer picture of what's going on. But as of right now, they're just wandering right now. They're just moving. Look at that Jimmy Uso in a freaking match tonight from Money in the Bank qualifying match. And I'm like, what? He hasn't done anything to be in any of this stuff.
Does WWE have enough women on SmackDown to run these qualifiers? That's the other problem. They may have moved her. They may have moved her to SmackDown because if they're running these qualifiers as triple threats, they may have needed her to fill a spot. They may not have had enough women on SmackDown to fill another qualifier spot.
And then they should have brought somebody else up from NXT.
Julia's at least on the main roster. I mean, I'm not. You know as well as I do that they make some stupid backstage decisions. This very well may fall under that. My only point is I don't think we should treat it as a burial yet.
Well, I think it just depends on how the match ends. We'll see.
We'll see.
But again, I don't understand the cramming the people onto these shows. This is my problem with SmackDown because it's too short of a show to be, and they're just kind of just doing whatever with them. It was like nobody carried this show this week. Nobody carried that entire program. Can you name someone that carried that program this week that kept you watching?
No.
Well, that's another thing I want to get into too, is the false advertising crap too, because it was said last week that Cody was going to be on this show. Mm-hmm. Where was Cody? Where was Cody? I mean, I give the dude, you know what, if he's taking, it's been a month since WrestleMania. You giving the dude a month off, great. But like, don't say that he's going to be back next week and then not have him on the show. To be honest with you, that was the only reason I stayed up to watch the entire show last night, was because I was thinking, oh, Cody's going to be on it and I want to see Cody. Like, honestly, after this next match, which we're going to get into in a second, I think this entire show sucked.
Where was it advertised?
I saw it on Facebook, on like WWE's Facebook, that Cody was going to be.
So it wasn't just there.
It wasn't even just there. It was reported by other outlets that he was going to be at the next SmackDown show.
That's my point. Was it actually WWE that advertised it, or was it the dirt sheets?
I thought it was WWE. I mean, I only follow them on Facebook. I don't follow anybody else. So
yeah, I believe it was WWE announced that the return of Cody Rhodes, and he didn't show up on the show. But again, if he showed up, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm not surprised because what are you doing with Cody right now?
Yeah,
well, nobody with nobody.
Exactly right, and like he's on the poster for Money in the Bank, which is in 2 weeks. Money in the Bank is June 7th. This weekend, or no, it's 3 weeks. It's 3 weeks. But this weekend is Saturday night's main event, and or next weekend is Saturday night's main event, and then 2 weeks after that is Money in the Bank.
So does he come back at Saturday night's main event, you think?
Cody's on the poster. He's in front and center of the poster for
No,
Money.
for Saturday night main event.
I doubt it. They've already got their 5 matches all lined up for that card.
Yeah, that's just you're just treating this like a normal pay-per-view show is basically what it is. It's just I don't understand what we're doing. I mean, they're just throwing people all over the place and seeing what sticks, it seems like to me.
Yeah, SmackDown feels kind of like leaderless at the moment.
Yeah. There's no Roman Reigns. There's no Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, no Roman, no Cody.
Direction.
Seth is on Raw. CM Punk's on Raw. There's no one carrying SmackDown right now.
Your biggest stars who are going right now are on Raw. Like that show, all these people online who are like, we're hating on Cody Rhodes. It's like that show feels so directionless now that there's no top guy there. Completely directionless. Because
and we're not
your champion, and I want to get into the John Cena thing in a second. Let's just get into the John Cena thing now. We'll talk about the Fraxium match in a second because that was awesome. Actually, let's just talk about it now. The Fraxium match was against DIY was nuts. It was one of the best. I mean, every week it seems like Fraxium is just putting on the best match of the week out of any of the wrestling you watch all week. Watch whatever Fraxium is doing because they're completely outstanding. Like just an insane match. And, they obviously got the pinfall win over DIY and Machine Guns came out for the save after the fact. And Fraxium's going to get rewarded with a title shot next week and deserving because they're awesome.
They don't win, right?
I think there's nonsense at the end.
Okay. As cool as it would be for them to win, especially with the quality of matches they've been putting on, because it doesn't even matter who's been in the ring with them. Everybody who they've gone up against, both teams have looked fantastic. I mean, we've said it before. WWE's tag team division on SmackDown is 1,000 times better than their Raw tag team division. And
Raw tag team division.
Raw tag team division.
Yeah, what Raw tag team division?
We'll air quote that. And the fact that you compare any of these teams, including a brand new one like Fraxium, with these guys and put on such high quality matches, literally every week when we do our SmackDown recap, one of the highlights of the episode is the Fraxium or the tag team match. And they all mesh so well together that it's great. And seeing Fraxium succeed the way that they are and WWE actually tell a decent story with them by letting their ring work basically tell the story for them is how it should be.
But it's by default. They have nothing else to go with there. It's by default. You still have the same few tag teams on SmackDown wrestling each other.
Yeah, but at least it's a division.
Now DIY's there. Motor City Machine Guns had to come down and rescue them. It's like, okay, what are we doing here? Are we gonna expand this tag division, or are you just gonna keep cycling through the same tag teams again? And that's what it seems like they're doing to me.
So that goes back to what you guys talked about on the Raw show, that you should almost recombine the two shows because having two tag divisions, you have to have two separate groups. If you combine them again, then you can go back to having all of these teams compete and not seeing the same matches. But at least on SmackDown, you have everybody just not getting constantly buried by the New Day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think separating the belts the way they did a year ago was a mistake. And I think that 2 years ago that they separated the belts, right?
It's
or no,
2 years.
Last year. Because Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn beat the Usos at WrestleMania 39. So that was the single belt. And then at WrestleMania 40 was when they did the ladder match for the split belts when Grayson Waller and Austin won, and then R-Truth and Miz won the other one. Yeah. Yes. I mean, stupid. I honestly, looking back at it now, I don't think that they should have split those belts. I think it was very clearly a mistake.
Not when they have such good tag teams that they can have compete all against each other.
Exactly. Yeah. So the next thing that was stupid on this show, R-Truth sat down with Wade in the back and gave no explanation as to why, I mean, he sort of kind of explained why he helped John Cena, but it didn't really explain why he helped John Cena. But it's ultimately going to lead to a non-title match between R-Truth and John Cena at Saturday night's main event next weekend. What are we doing? What are we doing with this? Like,
why are we wasting a John Cena match on a non-title match?
we're wasting a job. Let me indulge for a second here. So I've seen a lot of stuff on Twitter about people just being like, oh, well, they're letting John Cena do his retirement thing, doing like whatever he wants to do, and having feuds with all these people, kind of like all of these like you're never gonna see again kind of things. And if you don't understand this, you don't understand John Cena's history and the history of WWE, blah 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 blah. And that's all valid, but this is the guy who took the title off of Cody, who ended Roman Reigns' 1300-day title reign. And he's won twice by 2 dick punches, and now he's in a match with R-Truth. Your top champion on a pay-per-view against R-Truth.
I have one question.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
I think they're pivoting.
I have one question.
I think they're gonna let me finish. Hold on, Sean. I think that they're gonna make him turn face.
Cena?
I think that's the whole point of this. They know they screwed up with the heel thing. I think they're angling to turn him face. And that's the only way you're going to be able to ride that belt out for the rest of the year is to make him a face. That's the only thing you can do, because making him a heel isn't working, because it doesn't even seem genuine with him being a heel. It's very strange. And then you have R-Truth doing this whole, that's not the John Cena. That wasn't John Cena at the press conference. So if you're asking me, I think they're trying to angle for him to turn face. And we'll see where it goes from there, because I don't know what's going on with the John Cena thing. I don't have no interest in him wrestling R-Truth. I thought the R-Truth whole interview thing was dumb and it didn't bring anything to the storyline. And this is going to be a one and done thing. And then what do you do with them now? Because 2 weeks later, you got Money in the Bank. So you're squishing in 2 pay-per-views. You're putting John on a Saturday night main event to wrestle R-Truth, a match nobody really cares about. But they're going to watch it because John Cena's in it. But outside of that, I think the only thing they have now is to turn him back to being face. And I think that's what all these matches. Notice how everybody tried to talk him off the ledge and become his moral compass now. I think that literally, probably, maybe at SummerSlam, he turns face.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right. I mean, I doubt at this point. Like, it seems like we're going to be rushing the CM Punk thing for Money in the Bank, which is really unfortunate. Like, we're not going to get a lot of time for that. Because looking at it right now, Saturday night's main event is going to be John Cena versus R-Truth, CM Punk and Sami Zayn versus Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker, Jey Uso versus Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest in a steel cage. That's 4. And then we potentially have one more match as well, because they usually do 5, right? So I don't know. I don't love any of it.
No, none of it makes any sense at all. I think everyone's confused on what's going on with WWE. And again, like I said, I mean, not because I know we're talking about SmackDown this week, but that's my point's always been the reason WWE gets like this when there's no competition. They get real lazy and they start, we can swap this up, we can switch this up. Nobody will even care because they're still going to watch the show. Until another brand steps up and forces WWE to stop the nonsense, this is how it's probably going to be for the rest of the year.
The question WWE should be asking itself is, in 2025, does anybody actually give a damn about R-Truth and Cena? And that answer alone should be their answer on why they shouldn't be doing this match. Because nobody cares.
The crowds are still cheering John Cena, but
yeah, that's the problem. You have heel John Cena, yet people are still cheering him because he's John Cena. That's exactly why they never should have turned him heel. It was stupid. It was really, really stupid. I mean, I give him credit for trying something different, especially if Cody told them no. But all I can think of as far as this match goes is that they didn't have a plan locked in place for the Saturday night main event, and I don't know if what is it on CBS, NBC wanted him on the show for before he's done, and so they wanted to just get him in a match on there.
Well, turning Cody heel is a huge mistake. Like, you have no baby faces. If you turn Cody heel, you have no baby faces. A. B. Cody is the biggest merchandise seller in the company. You're gonna just shut that gravy train off? Like, well, what are you doing?
That all comes back to one man who messed up. I almost swore there. Who messed up all these storylines. We wouldn't have had to talk about Cena or Cody going heel if it weren't for the one man who's literally not. It's not John Cena who's ruined wrestling. It's one name that's ruined wrestling, and you know who I'm talking about.
Rock the Dwayne Johnson.
Yep. That stupid storyline never takes place. We don't have a John Cena heel turn. We don't have the stupid Cody selling his soul potential heel turn. None of that happens. WWE continues on their way, telling their stories that actually were making sense.
I don't know.
Which leads me to, again, WWE is dumb, and this episode was awful. So the rest of everything that kind of went on in this show, we're getting way off track here, but let's kind of rein it back in here a little bit. So we had a video package for Damian Priest, which was fine, but it seems like obviously this feud is continuing as well, right, between him and Drew McIntyre, which, again, I don't know why that didn't end at WrestleMania in their street fight, but they're obviously going to have a steel cage match at Saturday night's main event. Hopefully it will be over.
Sounds like it.
After that, let's hope that this feud is over. Just like let's hope that the feud between Naomi and Jade Cargill is also going to be over eventually, which now we're obviously seeing Naomi very clearly should have won that one at WrestleMania. But
and I said that.
So we had that promo with Priest, and then a little bit later in the night, we had Drew come out to the ring and obviously cut the same promo and, declare the steel cage match for the Saturday night's main event. Whatever. This was fine, I guess. We did get a match between Aleister Black and Carmelo Hayes. I'll let you guys kind of, give the summary of this one and talk about your thoughts on it.
I liked it. I mean, I'm glad that they're giving Carmelo Hayes the spotlight here, especially over Miz, even with his antics at ringside. And I'll never complain about seeing Miz get kicked in the head every week. Something about that is cathartic. But if my hope is that this leads to a great match sometime down the road against Melo and Aleister Black that breaks up Miz and Melo, because I feel like that's where this is leading to.
Well, I don't think they're going to use Aleister Black to break up that tag team.
No, but that's been this sort of running, like how Melo even mentioned his previous run of matches, it was against Andrade basically. I feel like this is slowly turning into another one of those.
Well, I mean, again, it's the poor booking, and I mean, Carmelo's been up there for how long now?
Well, look at how many times they had him lose before he started.
How long has he been up there?
At least a year and a half.
Been a year. Yeah, he came up right after his feud with Trick, which was about a year ago.
And they've done nothing with him. Wasted talent for a year that they've done nothing with. And because WWE feels like they need to sign every single person, every named person that gets released from a company, they're oversaturating WWE now. You got talent. So if you ask me, NXT is irrelevant right now. It's irrelevant.
Why?
Because they're pushing all the people they're free agents they're signing right now. Nobody from NXT is getting a push right now. Other than,
I don't know that I agree with that.
All right, who else?
On the women's side, yes, but on the men's side, you've definitely got NXT talents going. Oba Femi is a homegrown NXT talent.
No. I'm talking about on the main roster right now.
Oh.
We're not talking about NXT. We're not talking about the show. We're talking about the actual main roster. For a second. Everyone from NXT, none of them are getting a push right now because they've signed all these free agents now who are getting pushes. And that's that was my concern was when you start signing all these people, you start pushing the people from NXT back down.
Right.
So, now you got Carmelo Hayes hanging around doing nothing. you got him wrestling Aleister Black, who just returned, and I don't even know where you're going to go with it from there.
We do know where we're going with Aleister Black. That was a promo later in the show, but
I'm talking about Carmelo Hayes.
Hayes is going to, like I said, I think Hayes they're building into it to
We're not talking about what you think. We're talking about what they're doing right now. Everybody from NXT, none of them are getting a push. They're just kind of getting tossed into matches.
Yeah, the problem is they're doing that with everybody.
Huh? Completely agree. I mean, I know Julia's not homegrown NXT, but it's the same thing, right? Like, I'm convinced that she's going to get buried by Charlotte next week. I'm just convinced Charlotte wins. LOL. Like, I mean, I hope I'm proven wrong, but it just, to Terrence's point, that makes a lot of sense. Like, so many of these people that come up from NXT, they just do nothing with them when they get to the main roster. Look at Karrion Kross. There's another one that everybody wants to get behind. Everybody wants to get behind him, and nothing.
Karrion Kross, if you haven't seen, is actually, I think, is going to get a push. Did you see that they're finally selling his actual merchandise at the live events now because of everything he's been doing for himself? He's taken the Zack Ryder initiative to get himself over, and it seems to be working.
And he's still not on TV.
I don't know if
still losing
yet. I mean, they can just be using the fact that he's on the internet and he's popular on the internet. They don't have to even put him in the ring. They're just selling his merchandise.
He's literally he's losing on main event. He literally is on main event before the show, the TV tapings, and he is losing to guys like Akira Tozawa.
There's something coming with him.
Nope, I don't buy it.
We've been saying this about Karrion Kross for months, and they said he just kind of sits in the background, just kind of hanging out. But like, to your point, is WWE's just capitalizing on the fact that he's internet popular. He's not. They're not pushing him any other way. They know they can just sell merchandise without even putting him in the ring.
With the way they were involving him with AJ and that, I think that there's going to be something coming out of him.
Yeah, but they didn't do nothing with that.
It's not over. His things are still going on occasionally.
But AJ just wrestled last week. There was no Karrion Kross anywhere to be seen.
Because that was it didn't have to do with what that storyline was. His storyline was that you had these outsiders like Logan Paul coming in and ruining it for everybody who's actually a wrestler.
Yeah, but then you're going. Then he's probably the perfect person to put with Seth Rollins. Then that's the same.
I would 100% would agree with that. And that my pick for the third person with Rollins is Karrion Kross.
Still
want it to be Ethan Page. Just saying.
I would love it as Ethan Page, but I don't think it will be.
That's not going to happen. He's in another feud in NXT right now, but
yeah. But I mean, there's nothing. The thing with Karrion Kross is that they're just selling his merch because he's popular on the internet right now. People are following him. That's it. WWE is smart. I mean, they don't want to put him on TV, because if they wanted to put him on TV, they would have did it a long time ago. They would have done it a long time ago instead of waiting till now. But because he's self-promoting, they seen what happened with Zack Ryder. They're not going to let him go. They're like, oh, shit, we can sell merchandise because he's popular on the internet. And that's what he's getting right now. He's popular on the internet. They're going to sell his merchandise. You're never going to – I don't think they're ever going to give him a push. You might see him in some matches or involved in some mid-card storylines, but that's all. He's going to be another guy. I don't know why. I like Karrion Kross. I still think – I agree with you. He should get a push. But WWE has shown us they have no interest in pushing him. He's been on that main roster forever. They even released him and brought him back. And he's just sitting there still.
Yeah. When they brought him back initially, he was about to be in a program with Roman Reigns, and they just dropped that.
Yep.
That was a Vince McMahon thing.
I don't remember why they pivoted, but that was a Vince thing. Vince didn't like him for some reason. Well, I mean, do you remember when they had him come out in the bondage gear, for Christ's sake?
Well, apparently Triple H doesn't like him either, because he's not even trying to do anything with him.
I believe him and Triple H are actually pretty friendly, from what I've read.
Okay, that's fine. I'm friendly with my boss. Don't mean I like him.
Yeah. So this led to the next thing in the show, and Sean, I know you wanted to talk about this because you were kind of furious about this as well. But then we have the men's qualifying match for the Money in the Bank, and this had Solo Sikoa, Jimmy Uso, and Rey Fénix, with obviously the usual shenanigans with Solo Sikoa coming in the win. But Solo pinned Rey Fénix. Sean,
that's where my problem is.
Sean, tell me how you felt about this.
Why you have Jimmy Uso in this match? Why are you pinning your hot new free agent in Rey Fénix just to put over Solo? Like, I think it's an incredibly stupid decision, and it falls down to your typical bloodline bullshit shenanigans of, oh, we're gonna have everybody distract him, and then have Solo spike him for the win. I thought it was a stupid decision, and especially when you have Jay there, or not Jay, Big Jim there to take the pin. What the hell other reason was Jimmy in that match? Does anybody really give a damn about Jimmy Uso right now? He's not the Uso that anybody cares about.
Well, my main concern is when you have someone like Paul Heyman, who is a mastermind at storylines and getting you captivated in all the stories. The greatest thing people don't realize ECW did was they had multiple storylines, and every last one of them was interesting.
Yeah.
Every last storyline was interesting. WWE has, I don't understand why they're not leaning on him more to develop more storylines for other characters, because the only focus they have right now is just top guys. They're not doing nothing with anybody in the mid card or below. You can do storylines with these people to keep people interested in watching them, and they just choose not to. The writers are bad at WWE. As much as we don't like AEW, WWE is starting to look like them. It's just all over the place. We have no idea where they're going.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The writing is all over the place.
Yep, and they're doing what we complain about AEW. You sign too many people. You're trying to do storylines with all of them, and WWE's doing the exact same thing AEW, and that's why I said WWE needs some sort of competition, because this isn't working. None of this is working. I don't even know why Jimmy's even in that match. This dude wrestled maybe once or twice over the last year.
The only
Money in the Bank match and Solo Sikoa, another one. What are you doing with him? He just kind of floating around, and then you put him in there with a guy you're actually pushing. Of those three wrestlers, the person you're pushing, you're gonna let him take the pin from Solo Sikoa.
Yeah.
What sense does that make? That makes
Solo Sikoa,
who's
just so the same Solo Sikoa who's been pretty much getting buried regularly every week, taking pins left and right from everybody. You're gonna have that guy just pin Rey Fenix. That's awesome.
I got an idea. Replace Karrion Kross with him.
Yeah. Put Karrion Kross in instead of Solo.
You could, or put Karrion Kross in this match and have him take the pin.
Or have Jimmy Uso take the pin. Why the hell else is Jimmy in this ring?
Yeah, I think Jimmy takes the pin from anybody who's going to win this.
Whoever was winning should have pinned Jimmy.
Yeah, you're not doing nothing with Jimmy right now. And it's getting annoying the way they're pushing Ray up there now. So he's already got 2 losses now, and he's supposed to be getting a push.
The worst part is that Mania loss wasn't even a loss that he should have taken.
I agree. But again, I don't think WWE, I think they're just signing people without a plan. And it was bad business. Bad business.
The Phoenix Mania loss, though, I can sort of pivot from, though, because they were kind of put in a little bit of a bind there.
Put Andrade
with the injury to Ray.
Put Andrade.
Put Andrade in there.
Yeah, Andrade's not really a luchador like that, though. That was the whole point.
Doesn't matter. Put Andrade.
Mexican wrestler. He's a Mexican wrestler. He doesn't have to have the luchador title.
You have a perfectly good Andrade to put in there.
I don't think it fits, though, because isn't the whole point that it was supposed to be a versus a luchador?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Who's not going to believe he's not Andrade's not a luchador?
He comes out in a mask, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, he's not your traditional one, though. I think that's the point, is they wanted people to associate it still with like the mask versus mask wrestler thing.
Yeah, but you don't take the new guy you're pushing to do that.
I agree. I think it's stupid that he has 2 losses already. But like I said, I could sort of cut him a little bit of slack for that particular one. This one, there is no justifying him taking the pin in this match. If he loses this match because it's a triple threat, whatever. But Solo should have pinned Jimmy.
And Jimmy looks so bad in there. I'm like, dude, he looks out of shape. He can barely move around the ring anymore. What are we doing with Jimmy? Is somebody going to tell him to get in shape?
What's the deal with that?
You want to wrestle and be in WWE and get paid this money? Get in shape. He looks sloppy. Notice he's wearing full clothes now because he looks sloppy. He looks so bad. You put him and Jay in the ring, Jay blows him out by 1 million.
Yeah. Jay is taking all the talent away from Jimmy.
So then we had LA Knight versus JC Mateo from earlier in the evening, and this was a relatively short one. Again, bloodline shenanigans here as well. And JC obviously picks up the win over LA Knight. This match was completely pointless. I didn't really much care for any of this. I mean, I'm gonna call him Jeff Cobb.
Yeah,
I think he looks good. I mean, he definitely, for a guy his size and the way he can move around, I'm very impressed with him a lot. And I think LA Knight is a good worker. But LA Knight's another one of these guys. I think he's kind of forever a perennial mid-carder at this point. Like, I think his main event push is probably over with.
I'm glad to see that they let Cobb keep his Tour of the Islands finisher, and they kept the name Tour of the Islands and didn't give it some stupid like Mexican Destroyer or Mexican Muscle Buster name, because I think that just would have killed him completely as a character.
I don't know if the name of the move is going to kill anybody, but I mean,
Okay, let's give him the Island
Okay,
Buster.
I don't know, but I don't think that killed the rest of the name of the move. The move is cool. You can call it, the circus, and people be like, "Oh, great! As long as it's a good move, nobody can care less what the name of it is."
Stupid.
My own thing with him is, since when has WWE started bringing in new talent and putting them in the rings of people who are already established for their first match and winning? Normally, you take a guy like him, and what you do is you make him wrestle somebody who's a bottom tier wrestler just to show his dominance. That match, I got no fear on him.
Or a local talent.
Yeah, I mean, but I got nothing out of that. Did that impress you though? That match?
I mean, other than them giving,
it was a nothing match. It was a nothing match.
Right. It was a win over an established.
His first match, you're gonna put him in the ring with LA Knight, who you're not gonna let push. You're not gonna make him look better than him because you're trying to introduce Mateo.
Yeah.
So why not put him in the ring with somebody else?
To make him look good. I completely agree. It was a completely nothing, forgettable match that, like, as soon as we're done talking about the show, I'm not even going to remember it happened because it was it was like a nothing match on a nothing episode of SmackDown. So we're getting really sidetracked here again. But let's get into the main event. As you guys mentioned, we did have that promo with Shinsuke Nakamura, who obviously did not leave WWE. Good job, Dirt Sheets. And he's gonna be in a program with Aleister Black, it looks like. So this is going to kind of be Aleister Black's sort of first program. They're going to have a Money in the Bank qualifier next week, them and Andrade, three of them. So it'll be interesting to see the way they go with that. And hopefully Andrade can find himself getting a win there and getting himself inserted into that match, because I think that would be good for him. I don't think he wins the briefcase, but it would be good to see him get that push. And then we had our main event, which was Nia Jax versus Tiffany Stratton for the WWE Women's Championship. This was a fine match. It got about 20 minutes to go. It had the usual shenanigans at the end, like we mentioned about Naomi and Jade Cargill kind of came out. And Tiffany won with the prettiest moonsault after Nia went to go and get a chair, and she kind of got kicked in the face while holding said chair. Overall, it looked good, and I hope that they kind of finally are putting this feud to bed as well. And like they should be done with this between Tiffany and Nia. So what did you guys think of the match?
I think it's time for Nia to go. So, I mean, literally, I thought Stratton she's supposed to hold the ropes when she fell down on top of her and break her. And instead, she fell almost. Luckily, she went to the side of her, because if she landed on her completely, she would have broke her ribs. Simple. She would have broke the ribs. And this is another match. Again, what are we doing with this? Why are we? Why is you're pushing a new women's champion and you're having to wrestle Nia Jax again? What? Why? Perfect opportunity to start pushing some of the women from NXT that you're trying to bring up in that division.
Yep. Maybe that's why Julia's here.
But she's not involved with this.
They just brought her in. I
understand that, but what I'm saying is you put them both in Raw to jump people, then you split them up in the same week.
Yeah.
You sit here and just introduce her into SmackDown out of nowhere. No previous announcement or as to why they're doing it. And then you got Stratton wrestling Nia Jax in a sloppy match.
Since this feud started right after Mania, we've said we don't understand why the hell Nia is back and immediately into a feud with her. I don't know if this was just something to make us forget that she was in that feud with Charlotte and we can move on to an actual feud from here. But this was hopefully just a one and done. Nia can move off to eating whatever sandwich she's going to eat and having dangerous friggin' matches. because she's lucky she didn't kill Tiffany there when she sat on her. That looked incredibly dangerous, like you said. If she would have come down wrong, it would have been bad. But she's always been a dangerous worker, and hopefully this is the point where they move her back to the mid card and we start seeing even less of her.
Yeah, completely agree. So, guys, that was
We
SmackDown.
don't condone fat shaming, by the way.
Sean.
Well, I'm fat, so aren't I allowed to do it?
So, guys, that was SmackDown, and as I said at the top of the show, normally we don't complain this much, but this was particularly one of the worst episodes of SmackDown I've seen all year, and I'm really disappointed with the direction WWE is going. This gets, in my opinion, a 2 out of 5 tops,
Yep.
just because of the Fraxium match. If that Fraxium match wasn't on this show, 1 out of 5. Horrendous. The show's directionless. It needs Cody Rhodes back desperately, or Roman Reigns, or your champion John Cena. You need something on this show. Without having a top champion on this show, it's completely directionless.
Yeah. I agree. I would give it a 2 out of 5. The Fraxium match and I think the women's qualifier match are about the only things that saved it. Everything else was relatively forgettable. Like you said, after we're done talking about it here, I'm not going to be like, oh, wow, that Jeff Cobb LA Knight match it's so incredible. I mean, it's overall forgettable, and we'll hopefully after Saturday night's main event, they get their storylines figured out going into Money at the Bank and SummerSlam season.
Yeah, I agree with you guys completely. This is probably the biggest waste of time of a show they probably had this year. I thought this past Raw was a little rough, but this one was just bad. This is just bad. And when you have your fans questioning everything that's going on in your organization, you're going to start getting the chants from the crowd soon. The boo birds are going to start coming real soon. And I can see it starting with the John Cena match. You're going to see the boo birds start coming out because people are tired. We don't know. I mean, you built up this great storyline last year with Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns and everything. And then you go into this year. I mean, obviously WrestleMania, they started out this new season because of Mania. Mania was so bad that it's just continue on through all the programming after. I don't know what's going on. I don't like the fact that you don't hear these idiots like Dave Meltzer calling the crap out. I know he likes to be an inside guy, but he's got to come on now. This has been bad, really, really bad with WWE. And I don't know why no one's calling out the BS more often on the internet. But again, a lot of those guys are insiders. That's the way they get their information. Fine. But you can still criticize. And none of them do it. And that's why WWE does what they do. AEW and all the other organizations aren't pushing them. The guys online aren't calling out their BS. They're just riding this out until someone actually says something, where the crowds start, bowing out, because they're already talking about how much tickets are for the SummerSlam. Did you hear that?
$40,000.
I mean, are you kidding me? I'm gonna pay that to watch this crap?
$40,000 for front row seats for both nights.
Jesus Christ!
SmackDown was 50, or WrestleMania was 50.
That's insane.
$40,000 to watch a bunch of crap that nobody knows what's going on. It doesn't work like that anymore. Inflation has kicked in. Trust me, it'd be interesting to see if they can turn this around before SummerSlam. They're going to have to. But I think you're going to see them trying to hide the fact that if this keeps going, the ticket sales are going to be down for SummerSlam. After what happened to WrestleMania, I wouldn't be surprised.
Completely agree. Well, we're going to call it out here on this channel every week. You guys will hear it from us. We are not going to beat around the bush and kind of give nonsense takes. But guys, we really appreciate all the follows. And I know we kind of really went off track a lot on this episode, but we really, kind of wanted to tell you how we feel. And we're never gonna shy away from that on this channel. You always get our honest and, well thought out, most of the time, well thought out opinions on this show. So we appreciate it, guys, very much. As always, hit that like and subscribe button if you like more content. We're going to have some NFL content coming out for you guys as well soon. We're going to start looking at the schedules for some of the other teams, especially the Bills' biggest rivals, the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bengals, etc. So take a look for that soon. And guys, have a great evening and take care.